Hi, I hope you're having a good day. This video, that's my cat. This video is going to be about all the things that I learned while making my first game, and the background footage is that game, which you can play for free. There's a link in the description. The biggest lesson I learned was just how hard it is to make a piece of art. Obviously, I knew that going into this, it was going to be difficult because this is my first programming project ever, but I really didn't anticipate how much work was going to go into this, especially in areas that I didn't even think of when first starting this project. A great example was marketing. I made the trailer for my game, and doing that was so challenging. It was really frustrating, honestly, and I am happy with the result, but it looks like I threw that together in like an hour or something, when in reality it took me a really, really long time to record all the footage and to edit it and to redo it and put it into a way that I was actually happy with it. Pretty much everything I did with this project took way longer than I initially thought it would. I've heard a good rule of thumb is to estimate the amount of time you think you'll need for something and then double it. In reality, I did that and I would still thought it was going to take way shorter than it did. So honestly, if you're a beginner when you're trying to do something completely new, you're going to have to multiply your estimation by like 5 or 6 times in order to get an accurate amount of time. In the background right now, you can see me playing through the tutorial. The tutorial was actually a really difficult part of this process. I had a hard time balancing between making it simple and easy to understand, but also making it so that there wasn't too much information or too much text on the screen at once. Teaching people in general is really difficult because not everyone responds well to the same kinds of things, and some people are going to find things easier than others or harder than others. So it's so hard to get a good balance that can satisfy everyone. And honestly, I just don't think it's possible. It gives me a lot of respect for people that teach more important things than just how to play my video game. That's the number one thing I'm actually taking away from this project is gratitude and appreciation of things that other people have done. All the games I've played, all the websites I've mostly used without really thinking about what goes into them. But when I've done so much behind the scenes work to make this simple arcade style game with a bunch of tools helping me, with a bunch of tutorials, asking people for advice, it just blows my mind that there are so many other pieces of art in this world and other services that went through the same process but are 5 times more advanced or 100 times more advanced than what I did here. It's really given me a greater perspective on a lot of the little things that go into games specifically, because I had to put all those little things in myself, and it took so much time, but it makes such a huge difference. And as a player, you often don't realize that. You can see some old footage in the background before I added some of the particle effects and the screen shake, and it just looks kind of empty. It's very interesting how such small things make such a big difference. By the way, this footage was used in the tutorial, and you can see that I'm repeating the same thing over and over again, trying to get a good take. And that's a lot of what this is. It's just repeating things, slowly trying to get better and iterating on them. And I find it really fun and really interesting how a lot of life is like that. It's not making huge improvements all at once, it's making slow, small changes, trying the same things over and over until you get it right. And now compare that gameplay to the updated version, and you'll see just how much of a big difference there is, even though the actual game is pretty much identical to what it used to be. Next, I want to talk about having a healthy work-life balance, because when I was producing this game, I was not doing it in a very smart manner that was conducive to my health. I was spending hours at a time working on it, which is totally fine. Getting into a flow state is awesome, and I think it's great to be focused on one thing specifically for an extended period of time, but you never want to revolve your life so heavily around something. I often neglected other areas of my life, particularly my social life, in order to work on this project, and I just don't think that was a very smart move. And I think a lot of people do that, both with their personal projects and hobbies or whatever, but also with their work itself. Like, Work, obviously, we need money, we need to survive. But if your work is so debilitating that you're not able to fulfill the other areas of your life, then you're not in balance and it's just not going to leave you happy, even if you enjoy your work. I really enjoyed making this game, but I was putting so much pressure on myself to make it perfect and get it out there as fast as possible that I wasn't able to really relish and savor that process that I enjoyed so much. And that's something I regret, and I'm trying to change with how I do my projects now. For example, with this video, instead of trying to make it perfect, I'm having a very loose sense of perfection. Obviously, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but I'm kind of lowering my standards in a way that's making it more fun to actually create art. And I think it's really important to have that grace for yourself where you don't have to have everything come out exactly as you wanted it in your head, because that's something I've struggled with in the past, and letting go of that is just so freeing. And I would highly recommend trying to develop that skill of being able to let go of your imperfections. In fact, I think imperfections are actually really charming, and in times it can be really funny. You may have noticed that sound effect whenever I do the blue dash where it goes vroom, and that's something that was originally a placeholder, but all my friends were like, you have to keep this in, this is hilarious. And I'm really glad that I did, because I think the game has a lot more charm because of it. As Bob Ross would say, there's no mistakes, just happy accidents. And learning to appreciate those happy accidents is something that making this game taught me. So to recap the main things that I learned from this project, number one is appreciation of everything, because people put so much work into things that you often don't realize. Little things like hair dryers or plumbing. There's a lot of design and implementation that goes into that's behind the scenes that you never realize. And when you use it, you don't think, wow, someone's probably spent hundreds of hours working on this thing that I use every day. So making this game has really given me pause to appreciate some of the little things. And also, whenever a friend shares a project that they're working on, I make sure to be super supportive, because some of my friends were really supportive about this project, and that really helped me to actually complete it and to have inspiration to do it. And other friends didn't really care as much, which is totally fine. But it's really given me like this sense of empathy for people who are trying to make something and no one seems to care. And so now whenever I see someone making something, I'm always going to be as supportive as possible. And I think that's something that's really important for creators. Another thing I learned is that everyone is really different in the way that they approach things, and so it's really hard to have a one-size-fits-all solution to something. And I don't think that in the future I'm going to try to expect to have a one-size solution for things. I think nowadays specializing in some kind of a niche is a lot more effective than trying to make something have mass appeal. I don't exactly know how to apply this insight to daily life, but maybe just like in my personality, instead of trying to appeal to everyone, I should just be myself, do my thing. And some people might not like me, but some people will really like me because I'm being authentic and specializing in something. That thing being Parker. This analogy doesn't make much sense, but it works for me. And the last thing that I learned is it's really important to maintain a balance in your life. Even if you really want to do something and spend a lot of time doing it, you still can't neglect other areas of your life. No matter how much joy that one thing brings you, if you're neglecting other things for it, it's never going to be worth it. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, play my game. It's free in the description, and have a great day. Bye.